Hello everyone, and welcome to Session 2 of Star Trek Event Horizon, a Star Trek Adventure 2nd Edition actual play using the rules by Modifius Entertainment. My name is ELH the Game Master, and joining me are three lovely individuals who will meet right away because I'm interested to get playing, because we're dealing with one of my favorite species in Star Trek lore right now, but more on that in a moment. But we'll just go around, starting with Peter. Peter, who are you playing, and anything you want to shout out?
Hey everybody, I am Peter, Petrus Aquinas on the internet. I am playing the Chief Engineer, Lieutenant Commander Gerald, the Temerian. And anything to shout out? Not at the moment. So,
Alright. Ravens, what do you got going on?
Hey, I'm Ravens or Tony. I'm playing Commander Oliver Mason, our human CO of the Event Horizon. You could find me and a bunch of my buddies, Canadian buddies, playing a whole bunch of different games at Crucible Gaming right here on Twitch.
All right. And last but not least, Mr. Steadfast.
Yes, sir. I'm playing Lieutenant Commander Zephyt, our Denobulan pilot slash tactical officer. And yeah, I'm just excited to be back. These are also one of my favorite Star Trek species, so I was very happy when we saw what the plot was going to be. So I'm excited.
Awesome. All right, we still don't have an intro yet. We're working on it. But in the meantime, I believe Commander Mason, you have an opening log for us.
I do, a brief one. Stardate 69047.9. Starfleet has received a summons by the enigmatic Cytherians, originally encountered by the Enterprise D in 2367. The context of this summons is unclear, but the only vessel capable of making such a journey to the center of the galaxy is the Event Horizon.
All right. So we join you all currently getting ready for your jump to the Cytherian homeworld. And just for a moment, I wanted to explore what each of your characters would do in preparation for this jump. And I'm doing this not only because I know, Mason, you have a bunch of questions you want to ask me, but there's also a bit of, how to say this? This will be the biggest jump the Event Horizon has made to date, where you are traveling over 20,000 light years to get to where the Cytherian homeworld is. So this is the biggest jump you've done yet. So let's start at the top of the command structure and work our way down. So, Commander Mason, what are you doing to prepare for this jump? And anything you want to maybe role play about your character? Open floor.
Um, yeah, so I think the start would be a short scene in, I mean, we don't have a ready room, so it would be on the bridge,
Mm-hmm.
just discussing amongst the senior staff, the three of us, about the things we need to do to prepare for it. Um,
Okay. Well, let's rope in everybody else then. Gerald, Zephyt, you're on the bridge, of course.
all right.
so, Gerald, Lieutenant Commander Gerald, is Gerald fine? I mean, this ship is a ship, but I've been doing some looking into history, and if this were a human vessel, we would call this essentially a submarine. And submarines are boats. They're not ships. Apparently, historically, if you called them a ship, people would get quite upset. Um, and things were a little more informal on those things. But anyway, I digress. I'm concerned about this jump. This jump is massive. What are your thoughts on what we could do to get this thing ready?
Well, Captain, the I suppose the only way to know is by doing. Um,
That is not my favorite answer.
no, Commander Paris and I did run the ship through its paces in testing, but simulations only get us so far. I have been working with on the carburetor regularly over the last few hours to make sure that it will not have any issues or fail.
The
But
carburetor.
yes, but there is I would love to give you a guarantee, but doing so would be rather
EH appears, little hummingbird, and says, "Peter, when the dice fell," is, I believe, the term you're looking for.
yes. Yes, the it would in fact be Peter when the dice fell. So we would rather not do that.
Does it make more sense, perhaps, to do this in two stages? Or are you confident, as the resident expert, that 20,000 light years is possible?
Seeing as there is no known upward limit, I am fairly confident that we can make this jump in one, but if it would make you more comfortable, I am perfectly amenable to doing it in two.
I want you to tell me what makes you more comfortable without blowing up my ship.
Hmm. Well,
Let me actually look at your values real quick, because I think we might even be
yeah.
able to call upon a value here real quick. Let me see, draw. I think that if you would call upon your value of respect the machine, understand the machine, I will give you a point of determination to just say one jump.
Okay, I'm gonna do that. Um, Captain, I
Nice.
believe that the ship was built in such a way to handle this strain, and I believe it can. One jump will work.
I've done the research. I concur. It, if you're confident in the boat, I'm confident in you. So I guess the next concern is security. We don't know anything about these people except for a very small interaction. So Zephyr, what are you thinking on that end?
Well, the unfortunate reality is the vessel is capable of combat as far as all of the tests are aware, but we have no data on what their fleets or anything about their culture. So I have no way to tell at this point in time if we stand up in a fight. And then, of course, a small crew means that away teams are more vulnerable due to the lack of a large response team back on the vessel. So I think we just need to be very direct and very focused on how we split the teams up and make sure that everyone knows what their tasks are. Make sure there are critical redundancies in all of those tasks. But um, I'm in the same boat as you. We're working with very little information. So I think the best security protocol would be to keep prepped for an immediate jump in the event that we are waylaid in any way upon our arrival to their system. But um, other than that, I really think that this is one of those. Unfortunately, just gotta do it and see what happens.
Not a
I would
fan.
say I'll prep the security teams, but I mean,
Well, we have a giant Orion. I mean, that might help,
right, right,
but there's what, 17 of us? I mean, there's only so much splitting we could do.
right, exactly. So, but everyone knows what their duties are and knows what their tasks are if it comes to it. Everyone's received the dossiers on what we're walking into, and we'll make sure that crew assignments are in their best possible locations for our arrival.
And you're confident you can make that flight, not put us in the sun?
I've run the navigational jumps multiple times. It seems that Lieutenant Commander Dural and Commander Paris did extremely well when designing the vessel. Its margin for error with jumps of this size and magnitude are minimal to none. Even on the the most catastrophic of failures, and it was barely any sort of displacement at all. I have no reason to believe that the Event Horizon would undergo any issues with the jump of this size at the moment, Commander.
So you're confident.
Very much so, yes. Well-made ship, sir. Well-made ship.
She is. Perhaps we'll not use the manual controls for the giant jump we're about to do.
I would agree. I feel like it's best to let it run its course the best way it knows how to. So,
All right. EH, you got any concerns?
Not really, no. Though I am very curious why you all are so afraid of 20,000 light years. It is not, as they say, an astronomical jump. I mean, if you consider the size of the universe, it is a very small jump, all things considered.
Can you explain to me the last person that done a jump for 20,000 light years?
I believe the U.S.S. Voyager used the caretaker array to travel a great deal of distance more.
Yeah, that was cheating.
You're right, the shy.
That doesn't count. That was an accident. Ish. Regardless, if you're happy,
there.
senior staff is happy, let's game on. Let's go.
All right. So, because I want to make things interesting and because I start every session with threat, we're going to make things interesting. So, normally, this would be a control and a con with the ship assisting with engines and con. Normally, a difficulty of 3 because of coaxial warp and how it works. However, I'm going to spend all of my threat right off the bat because I want this to be interesting.
Nice.
The difficulty will go to a 4, and your complication range will go to a 17.
Ooh.
Okay. Very nice. I think how about we use a determination here off the rip.
All right.
To fly is to defy limits. Go ahead and give me the auto 1 for 2 successes there.
All right.
And then I think
Probably use that momentum to sneak another die in there.
yeah. I'm definitely going to use that. Well, I'm actually going to give you threat because I have bold.
Oh.
Okay.
That works.
How much threat you want to give me?
Just 1 for the 3rd die.
Okay.
I don't want to roll too many and risk a comp here.
Well, Peter's already
Jarrell,
rolling the
do you
ship,
wanna-
and we know how Peter rolls.
That's
Right,
what
that's
I'm
true.
doing.
That's true.
What's the ship rolling again?
Engines and con.
Engines and cut. Okay.
We could spend that 1 momentum for Jarrell to assist as well.
That's true. I think we need it. We definitely should. I guess let me.
He's dropping all the threat. This is an important role.
Right. Yeah. All right. So if I forget because now the sheets change with 2E. When I click using determination value, do you still do the 3rd pool, or it adds the 3rd one there?
So the way it works in 2nd edition is when you use determination, what it does is it turns the first die in the pool to a 1. So it doesn't
Gotcha,
add
okay.
a new die like it did in 1st edition. It just
Copy.
turns a dice already in the pool to a 1.
Okay, cool. So I will still do 3 dice with focus. Astronavigation, I'm assuming, is a valid focus here.
Most definitely.
Copy. All right.
Well, there's
Beautiful.
already your 5 successes. Peter, where's our complication? Oh my god, Peter.
Oh yeah!
Who are you?
Let's go! Peter when the dice fell.
Yeah. So that is 7 successes, which means you go up to 4 momentum total. Well done.
Peter, when the dice fell, quoted ironically.
Right. Yeah.
So here's again what happens. The event horizons, the edges of it, begin to shimmer in a sort of translucent blue. And again, you are shunted into that tesseract-like space where it's not quite like the Spore Drive, but it's still one of those extra planar views that just sort of is like an infinity mirror that goes on and on and on and on. And you're in it for about a minute, which is the longest time you've been in it so far, where it is almost unnerving how much you're looking out at this farscape that goes on forever. But eventually, the hull begins to glow blue once more, and you drop out in space right where you are meant to be. Now, the Cytherian homeworld is a little bit interesting, where they are centered around a star that has almost like a little galaxy around it, where instead of it just being a star, it actually kind of looks more like a star being born, where the nebulous gases are still pouring into the star. The homeworld is about the same size as Earth. It has a somewhat sort of bluish tint to it, not sort of a water feel, but just sort of a bluish color in general. And when you arrive and you scan the immediate area, there are no ships, there are no satellites, there are no indication that anyone lives here. At least until something appears on the bridge. And what appears on the bridge before all of you in sort of a holographic state is the head of a elderly gentleman with sort of beard tassels with little ornamentation in it. And he has a blue crystal in the middle of his forehead. And he kind of smiles widely and he says, "You came very promptly, I see. Thank you. You may not remember me, but my name is Castor. I had the privilege of meeting your crew on the Enterprise a long time ago."
That was before our time, I'm afraid. But it is a pleasure to meet you.
Indeed. And I must say, it is interesting the changes you have done to create a vessel such as this.
We've made some progress. Perhaps haven't caught up to the level of technology that you and yours possess by any stretch, but we're doing our best. It allows us to explore,
Indeed.
which is really our core value.
Indeed, as it is ours. However, I believe introductions are over. As of course, again, my name is Castor, but what might I call each of you?
You could call me Commander Oliver Mason. My crew can introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm Lieutenant Commander Zephyr. Sir, it's nice to meet you.
I am Lieutenant Commander Jaral.
Jaral, Zephyr, Mason. Wonderful. Well, I shall cut to the chase. I have what you would call a diplomatic leaf to offer to Starfleet. However, it comes with a price.
Doesn't everything?
Perhaps the price should explain themselves. And it's a weird thing because, again, it's just a floating head that's on the bridge right now. It's literally just a floating head. The floating head turns slightly to the left, and what manifests on the bridge is a very real, very physical woman that is sort of about the same size as Commander Mason. Because I think Commander Mason, we said you were what, 5'10", 6'6", something?
Yeah, he's not even 6 foot by any stretch.
Yeah,
He's
so
athletic, but not a big guy.
Yeah, so about the same size as Commander Mason. She has the same sort of white hair going on. It's in a bob cut, and she has a crystal in the middle of her head, but instead of Castor's blue, hers is a ruby red. And as she looks around the room, you notice that her eyes are also different, where her eyes have black sclera instead of the white that we would normally see. And her eyes are the same red, or her irises are the same red as her crystal. But as she looks around the bridge and she says, "Well, Father, this is quite the amazing vessel. It will do very nicely."
I'll kind of look over to the commander to see how we're.
As a rule, Castor, it's customary with our people to ask before visiting a ship.
Ah, my apologies. May I introduce my daughter?
Please do.
And he sort of motions with his head. This is V. Literally V. Just V.
And I'm confused. What does V have to do with this diplomatic outreach?
Well, as you may know, the Cytherians tend to bring people to us. We explore the galaxy by bringing those out there here. However, my daughter V is of the mind that this is an outdated approach. She wishes to do the actual act of exploring rather than sitting at home, as she says it. And at this, V kind of rolls her eyes in the stereotypical teenager fashion and goes, "Father, I've told you before that if the Cytherians are to advance as a people, we have to advance how we do things. We can't just sit at home doing nothing all time."
Soketh, his eyes uncovered.
Okay. You would like us to take V where exactly?
Oh, anywhere will do. I mean, There's and V just kind of turns around, looks at the view screen. I don't know, that star over there looks interesting.
EH, what is that star?
EH kind of flutters there and says, "We have no known record."
Of course we don't. Okay, so going under the assumption that I will entertain this. What are you offering in return?
Well, as you may or may not remember, when the Enterprise D came here before, we gave you a large amount of information about us, our people, our cultures, and what we have learned from others in the galaxy. We were willing to do the same once again, in addition to revealing some of the technologies we used to bring the Enterprise D here in the first place. And as a reminder, for anybody who doesn't remember the TNG episode 419, Barclay basically became superhuman and did something with subspace that was unclear, but it jumped the Enterprise D 30,000 light years in an instant. So that kind of technology, even better than the coaxial drive.
Jaral's going to kind of look at the commander.
You can speak your mind, Jerome.
That technology would be very
Dangerous?
dangerous if in the wrong hands, but very useful for Starfleet. And quite the engineering feat.
Almost magical.
Caster, forgive me. How is there a timeline on when you wish us to return V home for her explorations, or is this more of a open-ended task?
I'm of the mind that my daughter will grow bored after the first or second star. I believe this is what the humans would call a rebellious phase. And of course V does the stereotypical teenager hump and rolls her eyes and the whole 9 yards.
Well, we're in a uncharted sector of space anyways, Commander. I think it's prudent for us to explore the local stellar phenomena. I don't... One passenger wouldn't alter that too heavily.
I agree. Do Castor and V, you both need to be aware that exploration is, by its very nature, dangerous. Who knows what kind of phenomena we might run into, what kind of species that might wish to cause us harm. There's the real chance that V could be harmed on this particular voyage. You need to be aware of that before she agrees to come.
Oh, but that's what makes it interesting, says V. The fact that we're not just sitting at home safe in our little pods and just projecting ourselves somewhere, actually being somewhere new, actually going somewhere new. That's what I want to do.
That's exciting until the pain starts and the deaths start. You could die out here. You need to understand that.
And there's just a moment of hesitation on V's face, just for a moment. But she continues to brighten up and says, I'm aware of the risks.
Okay. You also have to understand that we're a very small crew. If things go wrong, I'm going to need you to sit in this chair, and he points at his own chair, in this chair and not touch anything. Don't do anything. Don't touch anything. Just sit there. If the red lights are flashing, you stop and sit. If
I
everyone
believe I can
agrees
do
to
that.
okay. Caster,
Yes.
I agree to taking V out for a survey mission. I would, however, like to, if this is successful and V is happy with her trip and learn some things along the way, I would like for you to invite or entertain the notion of speaking with Starfleet diplomatic corps. Just open up a dialogue with them.
Let's make that a roll. Very easy roll, hopefully, but a roll all the same. Commander Mason, if you could give me a presence and command at a difficulty of 1 here.
Difficulty 1. Do I have anything that? Nope.
I believe all the same. I'm sure you'll do fine.
You're not me. You'll be okay.
Commander Mason's not a great captain.
Hey, there you go.
You still get your 2 successes, bringing you up to 5 momentum. Well done. So, Caster nods and says, yes, in fact, part of this process, in addition to giving you the information, is, let us just say that there is a faction that V very much champions. And thank you for the momentum bean. Thank you. There is a faction among our people that does believe we should be out there exploring rather than remaining at home. And if we do decide to do that, we will need to make overtures with the United Federation of Planets, as well as other polities.
Well, that's all I could ask for.
And Caster just sort of smiles very widely and says, very well. If you need to drop off V earlier for whatever reason, just simply come back here and I shall whisk her away home.
Okay, we'll bring her home safe.
Caster does that old man knowing smile and he disappears. V is still there. V's looking around and says, this is a polyduranium shell. Uses coaxial warp. Capable of sustaining warp 9.998 for approximately 2 hours. EPS conduits running at 97.3 efficiency. Could be better. Ionic cannons. Transphasic torpedoes.
Just in case.
You're able to detect all of that from a glance?
Well, I mean, the Cytherians have, and she motions at her crystal. We have what you would be... how to explain it? It is like a tricorder embedded into our minds, if that would make any sense to you.
Interesting. Commander Mason, I might recommend we do a basic medical scan of V just to make sure that her biological makeup would be compatible with the Event Horizon's form of travel and that our atmosphere is acceptable for her for long periods of time.
Good idea.
Also very important question, V. Are there any dietary restrictions?
You know, I hadn't considered that. Can I have food?
We have a great amount of food. I can show you the replicator. The question is whether or not you can process it.
I mean, technically, yes. I am capable of eating a wide variety of foodstuffs, but I've never done it.
Well, then this should be a new experience for you.
Let's let the doctor find out what he can find out first before we jump to the cheesecake, shall we?
Ooh, cheesecake. That sounds wonderful.
You have given her an idea, Captain. It will not leave.
Cheesesteak is pretty good.
It's true.
Cheesesteak. I love that. That sounds even better.
We have a lot of cheese. It's true. Well, I'll walk you down to medical real quick, V. It's a small ship, so...
Yes, right down the hallway on the left. I remember.
Right. Okay, good.
Now, I'm trying to remember. Was that yours, Ravens?
Sorry?
The medical supporting character.
I made the Tellarite lady doctor.
Ah, okay. I was wondering who's... Okay, gotcha. So, at the risk of talking to yourself, Steadfast, Zephyt leads V to the sick bay. The sick bay, of course, literally just being 2 biobeds. And what do we see of the Tellarite when we walk into sick bay?
Oh, yeah. So she's classic stocky Tellarite build. She's got the lovely long hair and the beard, and she's just living her life to the best. Uh, she's definitely not prepared for anybody to come into medical. I mean, obviously with a ship this small, I think she'd know exactly when everyone's going to be in her office at any given time. Um, so she's kind of like chilling on the desk, eating a Philly cheesesteak, surprisingly enough, just having a good time. And she sees Zephyr walk in with this surprised guest, and she kind of pushes the cheesecake behind like her little terminal. Um, and Zephyr will be like, "Doctor, sorry to disturb. So our friend V, Cytherian, will be joining us for uh, a little while to see some of the local star systems. We just want to make sure that her biological makeup isn't going to interfere with anything while we travel, and that she's capable of consuming food from our replicators as well. Nothing too invasive, just the basic run-of-the-mill stuff. And then Zephyr will leave the scene, so I don't have to talk to myself. And then
Nice.
Clara will just kind of do a little nod, and she'll walk over to V and like look her up and down. We're like, your name is V, huh?
Yes, that's correct. And you are a Tellarite.
Yeah, that's correct.
I believe I'm supposed to insult you. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can. Are you good at insults?
I'm better than your mother's.
Nice. Nice. Why do your eyes look so weird? I don't like it.
It's a genetic mutation, I'm told. But, they kind of hurt because I have to look at your face.
Yeah. Yeah, you're fun. You're fun. We like you. We like you already. But while I do my scan, don't look at me because you make me really, really uncomfortable. So I'm just going to stand behind you and I'm going to do it, okay?
I could do what the Earth owls do and turn my head a complete 90 degrees if you
That
so
would
wish.
be way worse, actually. That would make everything far worse currently. Please don't do that. And she'll do a basic scan from behind her.
Okay. And yeah, since you're already at 6 momentum, I don't see a need to do a roll here.
Yeah, yeah.
But what happens is you scan her, and it's weird because it's the same sensor reading you would get from a being like a Q, where Q is somewhat detectable as a person when he manifests, or she manifests, depending on which Q it is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also a bit too perfect, if you get my meaning, where there's nothing wrong with them. Like, if you were to look at your readings, you would think you're looking at the perfect human specimen, period.
Interesting. So it's really one of those like scan, but there's really nothing to gather because it is just oh look, person.
Textbook.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Almost as if she's taken this form to survive on your vessel for...
Right.
Thank you for the
specifically.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm going to take that evil redeem. I'm going to take 2 threat for it because I need my threat back.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, and she'll just kind of scoff, be like, "Oh, yeah, you're perfect, all right. Other than the eyes and the thing and but biologically you seem to be all right. So
Awesome.
no issues here."
And what she does is she hops off the biobed, goes to where you hid the cheesesteak, picks it up, and starts eating.
All right. Now you're gonna come into my place, insult me, and take my food? That's crazy. All right, get out of my office. Thank you. she'll just gotta push her out of the office.
So still cheesesteak in hand, eating it. We see Zephyr just standing outside the corridor, and V comes out eating the cheesesteak. This is pretty good. I wouldn't have expected to use what is this, Cheese Whiz on it, but it's very interesting. This meat, it has a very fine texture.
There's cheese whiz on it?
Well, yes.
Strange taste in food.
Well, don't ask me. I took it from your doctor.
She didn't make you one? You took it from her?
Well, she wasn't eating it.
This is very kind of her, I'm sure. You can come back with the bridge then.
Okay. We sidle 5 feet to the left, get back onto the bridge.
Yeah. Medical scans all come back as uh, textbook perfect biology for the vessel. Appears by design, if the scans are correct. And I'll head back to my post.
Okay. Well, you picked a star. Let's go see what it shows us.
Awesome. She looks around the bridge. Every chair is currently occupied. Where should I sit? Should I stand, perhaps?
You can have my chair.
Oh, well, thank you.
Please have a seat. You get the best view of the house.
All right. Now, is
Go on, stay
Commander
the course.
Mason going to stand behind her, in front of her?
He'll stand just to the left of the chair.
Okay.
You know, it'll give her, give her the experience.
Okay. Anyways, you were saying.
Oh, just set a course. Let's go see what we can find.
Sweet. I'll look to that star that pointed at and do a preliminary scan. Make sure that we're not going to jump into anything weird. And then as long as it checks out, we'll jump post haste. Are we using the coaxials, Commander, or are we standard?
How far away is it?
It's approximately 5 light years away.
What's that? It's standard warp.
Narrative
That's-
time.
Right.
Narrative
Right, right.
time.
Yeah,
Let's use the normal warp drive for now.
Cool.
Let me head down to the engine closet and make sure that the warp core is actually ready to
Yep.
run.
Yeah,
Yes, and
come
get
with
us
you,
reserve
Jerome.
power back.
Sure.
Also, you are right, Ravens. We actually do need to roll to see if your reserve power is back. Good call.
Sure.
Let me see. So, Peter, since you're the ship guy, if you can roll me a 1d20 under 13, you'll get your reserve power back. You get it back. Well done.
Just barely.
Mm-hmm. Hey, 12 is enough.
Hey, and they'll do it.
Yeah.
And then I'll just scan the star while they go down to engineering, make sure everything's fine.
All right. We'll do the scene with Dural and V in a moment, but for Mason and Zephit, when you scan the system, what you see is interesting. And I don't mean interesting in like a facetious way. I mean that this is I'm trying to condense it down into simple words here.
Sure.
You know how black holes are a thing, and black holes are like the epitome of gravity?
Yes.
Well, there's this theoretical concept, at least in our universe, in real life, where at certain points in the galaxy's formation, you could actually have, and Peter knows this because I did this to Peter's group, there's actually a type of star that has a black hole in the center of it because the gravity is so intense and the star is so large that it has collapsed into a black hole in the center. It's what you would call a quasi-star.
Yeah.
But it's not just one quasi-star. It's 2 of them.
Ah.
Binary quasi-star system.
Mhm.
Sure. I mean, we can learn stuff from that.
Definitely. I'm sure. I guess GM. We're not going to have any issues. We stay at long range of the system as long as we don't get too close to the pole of these binary quasi stars. We should be perfectly fine to observe and do a bunch of scans. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess I should qualify that even though it's a black hole in the center of a sun, it still acts like normal gravity, where
Okay.
you would actually have to go into the sun to fall into the
Oh,
black
cool.
hole.
Okay.
Like, it's something where the expanding pressure out from the center is enough to waylay the incoming gravity. It's a bit hard to wrap your brain around if you haven't
Right.
seen a video on it, but suffice to say, for lack of a better term, it's a standard star. It's just super big, like bigger
Nice.
than any other star on record.
Nice. Are there any other planetoids in the system, or is it just
There is. There is a Class L world. Class L, of course, being barely habitable.
Nice. Perfect. I would say send it over to the commander's station, but he's not at a station, so I guess I'll just kind of put it up on the view screen. Uh, it looks like a binary quasi-star system with a Class L world present. Definitely a unique place to look at, Commander.
I mean, we like unique places. Kind of why we're out here.
Perfect.
Set a course, keep us a fair distance. We don't know if that world's inhabited or not. Certainly don't want any pre-warp society seeing us.
Yes, sir. Of course, standard approach.
Yep.
I'll lock her in.
All right. Meanwhile, in engineering with Jural and V, Jural, have you gone to the closet?
I have gone to the closet, open it up, start looking at the warp core, making sure that it's um, intermixing properly.
And I think V actually kind of leans in and says, if you adjusted the harmonic variance of this particular conduit, you'd be able to produce efficiency of 98.7. Still not the best still not the best possible, but better than the 97.1 that it currently is at.
Thank you for your input. I, how, let's see what happens just a little bit. Jaral is going to input the change.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a placating, but also let's see if she actually knows what she's talking about.
Okay. I'm going to immediately spend 2 threat to create the complication that the warp engine stalls. And right as the event horizon, as Zephyr, as you punch in the command to go to warp, nothing happens. Oh dear, I seem to have miscalculated the intermix ratio. I believe we have done what is called a hard stop of the warp nacelle, or the warp core.
Shaka when the walls fell.
Engineering wise, my ship not moving.
Captain, there was a miscalibration of the intermix chamber. It will be corrected shortly.
We just jumped 20,000 light years with a miscalibration.
Oh, that was the coaxial drive. That is working perfectly. The warp core, however, appears to be surprisingly much more finicky.
Surprisingly. Please get us underway.
Will do.
Thank you.
All right. So, Peter, we have a few options here, and I do apologize if any jet noise is sweeping in. We've got a lot of jets over here today. You've got a few options, Peter. You can either do it the slow and quote-unquote Starfleet way, where you can just go buy the book, get it going. Probably would take about an hour, hour and a half. Or if you want to show off to the captain, to V, etc., you could do it the Geordie LaForge way and just cold start that warp core out of nothing. Now, obviously, there's a difference in difficulty between the two, but it's what Jural would think to do in this situation.
Let's see. Well, his daring isn't that high, but he does like to jury rig and likes to push the machines to see what they can do. So he's going to try the cold start. He's going to jury this.
Love it. All right. This is going to be a daring engineering. This will be a difficulty of 5. You have a focus in warp field dynamics and electro power systems and jury rigging. You also have veteran as part of your determination spend. So I'm assuming you're going to use one of the 3 determinations you have.
Absolutely. I am going to use my value. Nothing is built to last forever.
Okay. And then you have 6 momentum to play with here.
Yep.
It's like a bad omen value. I'm just gonna blow up the ship.
It's a normal warp core. It's not the experimental one.
Yeah.
So I can fix this one.
Right.
So
Spoiler, he didn't.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because again,
Morgan
this is
Freeman
Peter
narrator
rolling.
voice.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is a Peter roll. We all know how Peter rolls go.
Yep. Well, I am going to use a momentum to get 3 dice for sure.
Okay.
Um, is the ship assisting me?
Nope, this is all you.
This is all me. Okay. Well, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Remember, it's difficulty 5. You probably want to go for the beans here.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm thinking. Do you want me to use momentum or threat, guys?
You have
Threat would make it more entertaining, but
you have bold or cautious?
I
or
don't
anything?
have any of that. So I guess
So
I
We
just
have
have to use
piles of
momentum.
momentum, so
Yeah, we got
spend
plenty
it.
of momentum.
Okay, so then it's 3 for another die, right?
For the 4th die, correct. Well, it's 3 total, so you would go down to 3 momentum.
Okay, so then I'm using 4 dice, using a focus, using a determination. I think we're okay.
We'll find out together. There you go.
Nice.
There we go.
Just
Peter's
barely.
turning your luck around. There you go.
Nice.
Nice. So, Peter, describe what that looks like when you show off your skills.
So in the closet, you're gonna see Jaral's gonna like reach up and pull down some more panels and start like pushing a lot of buttons. Is it necessary? Maybe not. But he's recalibrating things. You see him reach towards the dilithium chamber, pull it out for a second, like pull out a sonic and quickly tweak some of the crystal alignment, push it back in, reinitialize it, and then you see him just kind of turn and be like, "Captain, here she goes." And he pushes the button and you just see like everything just light up.
Get that steady foom, foom, foom noise.
Yep.
Good job. That was quick. Are we good for warp?
We are most certainly ready for warp, Captain. Mirab with sails unfurled.
Good job, engineering. On. Go
All
visit
right,
the star.
let's try it again. I'll do it again this time with more success.
All right. And this time, because it could be funny if you roll a complication, it's not going to be as difficult because you're using normal warp drive. So this time, it's still a control and a con. The engines con from the ship are still assisting. But since it is literally just a 5 light year jump, it's a difficulty of 1.
Copy. All right. Sweet. I'll still give you a threat. We'll try to bank some momentum here.
Okay.
And still focus astronavigation.
Oh,
Just did it
veteran.
quick.
Yeah, so Drawal, you get that 3rd
Nice.
determination back. Good. And then Zephit, you rolled 3. Good stuff.
I'm going to
there.
fish. I am still going to fish for that 18 because
Okay.
bold. Yup.
Okay,
Nice.
so that is 4 successes total. You're already at 6 momentum. And then, Peter, if you could do Engines Con for the ship and get us a complication, maybe?
Yeah.
It is time.
Ship is always at a complication range, right?
18 to 20, yep.
Yep. Okay.
Wow,
Nice.
Peter, who are you? You do so well that
think
you actually have
everybody
1
would-
floating momentum right now.
I feel like we're in a parallel dimension right now.
Something's gone weird here.
This is alarming. I don't feel good.
That sense of dread is trickling in.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm in
Uh,
danger.
I guess what trait can we make when warping somewhere? Like, we make it that the engines are spooled up because we got to get out of there. Or everything's good to go.
Oh, you know what we could do is, because they do this in the show all the time, especially on DS9 when they're getting from DS9 to Earth. Like, that's supposed to take, like, a month, supposedly. But we see
Right.
the Defiant get there in, like, a few days. So maybe it's something that the quote-unquote subspace currents are just in your favor and you get there quicker.
Sweet. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I just spend 2 to speed it up.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. In that case, you'll go down to 5 momentum, but what happens is what was supposed to be maybe a day's journey now is barely 8 hours.
Nice.
And I think V, back there with Gerald, says, seems your cold start of the warp core has increased efficiency to 99.3. Well done.
Thank you.
But this is exactly why I wanted to be in a ship like this, because things can go wrong. You see, in my world, things don't really go wrong. We just sort of exist. We don't have conflict, we don't have strife, we don't have anything entertaining until somebody comes into our system from one of the probes we sent out.
Paradise is boring, huh?
Indeed, yes, it is very boring.
Interesting. I know that many people back in the Federation would potentially take an opposite view, but...
Well, perhaps we should return to the bridge. I am interested to learn more about each of you.
Well, right this way. You know the 10 feet.
Literally 10 feet. So V comes back onto the bridge with Gerald. And Mason, have you taken your chair, or are you still standing?
I think he's just gonna, while she's on the ship, kind of just hang out by the chair so she knows where she's supposed to go.
Okay, wanted to ask. So then in that case, yes, she takes the chair, kind of sits back a little bit, tests the armrests, cracks her neck, and goes, "All right, this feels really nice. I don't know that we actually have any starships that I know of, but maybe we should make one like this. Big, comfy chair. I like it."
You don't have any starships?
No. The whole way we get in contact with other species is we just send out probes to temporarily reconfigure their technology to warp them to us, and then we send them back on their way.
So what do you know about this particular system we're in? Have you sent a probe out here?
Oh, no. Surprisingly enough, we know very little about our immediate surroundings.
That's an interesting cultural phenomenon, isn't it? That you would send out probes so far to meet more people, more species, but not be terribly interested in your immediate surroundings.
The Cytherians are, I believe the word would be interesting? That doesn't feel like it's enough of a word, but interesting will suffice.
Oh yes, I find you very interesting. I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, let's say. Trying to understand your viewpoint, that you would be interested in meeting people, but not necessarily exploring your surroundings. Humans, most species in the Federation, we strive for exploration. Most of us here, and almost everyone in Starfleet, is motivated to explore and learn and find out not just species, but stellar cartography, nebulae, new ways to make engines go faster in full space, because that's always a good idea. Artificial intelligence, like E8. We're always trying to learn. That's what we do.
And I think EH starts flitting around V's head and V just sort of follows it. And strangely enough, to all of you who are not warned of this, when V looks at EH flying around her head, she does do the owl thing, and none of you are probably prepared for it. But eventually EH stops in front of V, and V kind of actually holds out her hand, palm up, and then EH lands on it, and V just kind of looks at it and goes, "Artificial intelligence. Very interesting. I believe the Enterprise D had one of these called Lieutenant Commander Data, though it is very different than this one."
Data is unique in his own way.
I see. Well, to answer
Data
your
is
question,
an android, not a
an
holographic, not a holographic artificial being.
Oh, well, that is fascinating. And then she kind of pushes her hand up a little bit so EH knows to go flying away. But V turns to you, Commander Mason, and says, well, to help you understand my viewpoint, as you put it, Commander, as I was telling Lieutenant Commander Dural, nothing really happens on my world. We are a utopia beyond a utopia, where nothing interesting happens. We simply exist in a state of, I guess you would call it bliss, where we are not wanting for anything except for the need to bring people to us. And I cannot tell you why the Cytherians evolved this way, only that, for some reason, we only cared about the things and the people that were already out there. So this system I've picked at random, we didn't have any interest in it because we didn't detect any life on it.
So you're interested in people?
People, places, things. Personally, I'm hoping that we get to this Class L world, if I'm reading the view screen right. I'm hoping we get to this Class L world and, you know, we have to fire phasers, or we have to fight with like a batleth or something.
No. That is misguided, B.
Well, it would be interesting.
No, it would be dangerous, and people would get hurt, and people could die. Have you ever been hurt?
And she actually pauses and thinks, and you can see she's thinking it over. Also, Techno, thank you for the momentum. So you're up to 6 now. So she kind of thinks it over, and she says, no, I have never experienced pain, just like I have never experienced food until that cheesesteak.
I suppose that would change one's perspective. Food isn't important to someone who's never been hungry. Water's not important to someone who's never been thirsty. Violence would seem to be a trivial thing if you've never felt pain or the loss of life.
What do you all do for entertainment on your planet? If everything is perfect, what do you do?
We create, I guess the simple way to describe it was we create elaborate mind games, sort of like your holodeck, but much more advanced.
Like Stratagema?
If you were to take Stratagema and make it be designed by, I believe you call them the Q, that would be sufficient.
Goddamn Q.
Have your people ever thought about keeping the guests that you brought to visit you with you for longer periods of time? It's difficult to learn from a species in a very brief snapshot of an arrival in your homeworld. It's not the most consistent way to learn about a culture.
This is true. We usually keep them for about 10 to 11 days, and then we send them back on their way. But then we take all that data and we, as I put it, play our mind games to internalize and understand the data that they have delivered to us.
Why?
Why we do this, or...
Well, to what end? Like, bringing, for instance, the event horizon, outside of you wanting to go for a road trip, that you'll collect the data that you see here and you'll bring it back to your people and you'll play your games and internalize your experience. But to what end? What are you trying to? Is it something you enjoy doing? Is it you're just trying to learn something?
Well,
Basic instinct.
As a species, we are trying to learn things. We aren't such stagnant that we are doing nothing. But for me, this journey represents something for my people and the faction that I am with, where if I can prove that there is merit to leaving our home system, and that there is merit to working with you in the Federation and working with other alien species, we don't have to be so isolationist, that we could, I guess in a way, take on this danger that you keep telling me about in order to truly live.
Who are you attempting to convince on your planet? Is it governed by one individual or a governing body of people, or how does it work?
Well, to put it in simple terms, we are a purely democratic society. We can, at any moment, vote on any issue, and every vote is compulsory. So everyone must weigh in.
How many are there?
Cytherians? I believe there
Cytherians,
are
yeah.
253 million, thereabouts.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And then,
Well,
yeah,
All right.
democracy isn't necessarily the perfect form of government, but it seems to be the best one we found so far.
well, I mean, I have in the Enterprise D records, there were the mentions of Klingons and how the Klingons had chancellors and high councils and things like that, and I didn't much care for it, but my father was very fascinated with them.
There's
Many
pros
are
and
quite.
cons to most things.
Yes.
And then all of you hear a loud gurgle coming from V's stomach. And V looks down and goes, I believe I am hungry?
Oh, let's hope so.
Well, I've already had a cheesesteak. What else would you recommend?
Oh, Doc should take care of this, I think.
I think that's in the best interest of crew morale as well.
Doc definitely has a great many opinions on food.
All right. So to fast forward a little bit, you remember? I don't know if anybody remembers this scene, but there's this one episode of Voyager where the Doctor has to hide himself in Seven of Nine's implants, and he discovers eating food for the first time, and he just replicates so many stupid
Everything.
dishes like giant ice cream sundaes and
Yeah.
steaks, and Seven of Nine gets really mad at him for it. But suffice to say, something similar happens here, where by the time you all arrive in the quasi-star system, like V has sampled a plethora of just different foods from different cultures. And as you arrive in the system and you start to do your preliminary scans, what you realize is that, true to what I said earlier, there's no signs of intelligent life. There are some flora and fauna on this Class L world, but nothing that would be considered intelligent enough to worry about the Prime Directive, if you get my meaning. But V, kind of from her seat in the center chair, goes, interesting, it is more purple than I thought it would be. I wonder why that is.
Well, let's find out.
And
That's why we're here.
she kind of looks around at the bridge. I believe this vessel is capable of landing?
Yes.
Yes.
Can we land?
I don't see why not.
Perfect. Just say the word, Commander. I'll look for a good landing site.
I will prep for atmospheric travel.
I wouldn't mind stretching my legs.
V, do you have any preferences? From looking at this, any sides of the planet that look prettier to you, or?
And she actually points to a point on the planet and says, right there, that looks to be some kind of an atoll or a sandbar. Something that would be a good vista to take a picture with.
A picture? You're gonna take photos while we're traveling?
Well, of course, I've been taking photos this entire time.
Ah, okay.
And she actually kind of does this thing where she motions up towards with her left hand. She kind of waves a hand over her red jewel and then kind of does a flourish towards the view screen. And it's very weird where it's kind of these third person shots, like if she always had like a selfie stick or something. But there's these third person shots of her eating, of her talking with the crew, of her looking at the warp cabinet, you know, just these different little views that are all coming from an external perspective.
Interesting. And
I
yeah, I
mean,
guess I'll
she
try to
is on
land so
vacation.
good. Yeah, that's true. That's true. How long have you been taking photos? It'd be very fascinating to see what other things you've captured, if you're willing to share them.
Oh, you mean of my world? Oh, there's nothing there that's interesting. Trust me on that one.
Well, but that's the point of why we explore. We like to learn about other places and planets and cultures. So what you find mundane because you've seen it your entire life, we will find unique because we've never once seen it.
All right, if you insist. And she puts up a alien landscape on the view screen. And the best way I can think to describe it is take something like the Matrix, where when Neo wakes up and he's in the human battery farm, as it were, where there's just pods after pods after pods. It's something very similar to that, but it's not the grim, dark, crackling red lightning version of it. Instead, it is just kind of these concentric towers with these large white and blue pods that are just situated around this rod at regular intervals. And floating in between all of these are these little caretaker drones that regulate intake of energy and all that. Also, thank you for the 2 threat chat. I appreciate it.
Oh, you do need to go for a vacation, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, as
Yeah,
I
it
said,
does.
it's very boring on my world. This is all we have to look forward to in our world.
Yeah, it
Hey,
does.
Con, see if you can find us some ice. I gotta teach you all how to play hockey.
Ice. All right, will do. Oh yeah, we'll look around and see if there's any snowy poles with any ice caps or anything.
Let's just say, for sake of argument, that if you spend 2 momentum to create a trait, I will give you the perfect hockey field to play on.
Yeah.
Why not?
On hockey.
There you
2
go.
moment.
All right. So, yeah, you have the perfect landing point. So all you have to do now is land the ship. And there are actually rules for landing the ship. Now,
Cool.
the good news is that you are a scale 2 vessel, which means it's only a difficulty 2 to land. If this were, say, Voyager, it would be a difficulty 4 to land because it's based on the scale of the ship in 2nd edition.
Interesting.
But, Zephit, I need you to give me a control and a con. Peter, if you can give me a structure con from the ship, and it is a difficulty of 2.
Copy. I'm assuming the focus of helm operations would come into play here.
Most definitely.
Right.
All right, well, Peter, there, okay, there it is.
Uh-oh.
There-
Yeah,
there it
is
is.
somebody had to get one. Yeah.
There it is. How mean do I want to be? I'll be somewhat mean, but not totally mean. So, Zephit, you fly the ship down through the atmosphere of sparkling prismatic clouds, of falling snow and ice, and you emerge over this icy landscape with bits of green tufts here and there, almost like little oases in an icy desert. But you start to land, and then right at the last moment, you forget to compensate for the gravity of the planet, and you all just feel a thud, a bit of crunch, and then the ship comes to a stop.
Apologies, Commander. It was a little bit rougher than I would have liked. The gravity waves were a little inconsistent on the surface than what it was in the atmosphere. I apologize.
Yeah, landing's tricky. Any damage?
Everything good, EOH?
You are without reserve power.
Gotcha. Took a small hit to reserve power, it looks like, just to compensate for the inertial dampeners on that landing. But other than that, no structural or any other damage.
All right, let's get the reserve power back. You might as well go take a look outside before we take our visitor.
Nice.
All right.
I'll replicate some skates.
I was waiting. All right. So, and if it matters to you, this is a new scene. So I know, Mason, you have your power combo if you want to use it. But as you emerge out of the ship, I'll tell you what you see first. You see what would be the equivalent of like a European mountain range, where there's these grand vistas of sweeping mountains. There's kind of a valley that you're currently in with just these large expanses of ice that you can play hockey or other ice sports on. There's, these beautiful sort of purple trappings of minerals deposits and other things like that. The snow or the ice is prismatic, just like the clouds you came through. So everything is just a vibrant color that you've never seen before in your life.
Can I tell, just from my own observation, why that would be?
You would be able to tell that it is a different composition of... How do I say this? Actually, let me check your science score. Hold on. What is your science score? You have a science of 5. Yeah, you know this. You know that instead of it being H2O, water, this is a different chemical combination where it's still close to water, but this is like, and I'm not going to give a chemical composition because I don't remember organic chemistry all that well, but suffice to say, it's just a different chemical makeup for this snow, for this ice, for this weather kind of a thing.
Okay, and for a second question, can I ask if I believe it would be safe for the ship to be landed on it?
Let's just say that when you get back to space dock, somebody is going to have to repaint the lower nacelles.
Right, but the ice itself would be safe.
Yes.
Like, would withstand the weight or whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna opt not to make a trait because it might come up later, and I like to do it once a scene. So,
okay.
Yeah, clear the place and let Vigo get cold.
Yeah, and I guess we'll start doing the classic Federation stuff, right? Testing all the atmosphere, getting samples of the ice and the water and the fauna that's readily available, all that sort of stuff. Doing all the scans.
Classic
Yeah,
away team stuff.
Yeah.
What I would say is that as you all are doing your scans of the local flora and fauna, what you find is, do you all know what a stoat is? Do you all know what a stoat is?
Yes.
If not, it's kind of this little weasel thing that looks like a ferret, just smaller.
Yeah,
And the creatures that you find are basically these little stoats that are about the size of a hamster. So these things are tiny. But they sort of do this interesting thing where they jump up out of the ice or jump up out of the snow, just like a dolphin would on the waves. And they just sort of bob up and down in the snow and the ice as they traverse the landscape. And I think V at this point has come out, and she's, again, not wearing anything that would suggest cold weather for her. She's just kind of wearing this sort of white coat with red under trappings and nothing that really, again, sells like this is a warm winter coat. But she kind of looks around and goes, now this is exploring. I mean, I've never seen a cloud formation like this, and those animals, whatever they are, I mean, look, that's vibrant in life, and they're enjoying it.
That's why we're here. That's why Starfleet does most everything that it does.
I like it. And is this... She kind of looks around. Is this what I would understand to be the sensation of being cold?
I would expect so.
Fascinating. I have never experienced such a thing before.
We should get you a jacket. If we're going to be out here for a while, you're going to get very cold. And if you get too cold, the doctor could explain, you could get very sick.
Ah, okay. And she runs back inside. Doctor hands her a coat. She comes running back out. So, this hockey, what does this hockey entail?
Well, it needs some bare ice for us to play on. We strap blades to the bottom of our feet. Step 1 is to learn how to skate. And helmets. We need helmets because you all are going to fall down and bump your heads. And once we're done skating, we'll learn how to shoot a puck. Pass it around. We'll have fun.
Fun for real. Oh, I love it.
Fun for real.
And because I'm an asshole, I have to ruin it for you all.
Yeah.
So, you all do enjoy, a few hours of learning to skate. You all do enjoy a little little vignette of you trying to slapstick like a puck into like this makeshift goal, and you are generally having a good time. I'm not going to take that away from you. However, after about 2-3 hours, you get a call from the ship, Commander Mason. And it's whoever you left on duty. In fact, why don't we look at our supporting characters? Who do we got? Would it be Kasich or would it be the Boulder, we think? Would it be? I think it's probably Kasich because he's a lieutenant junior grade.
Yeah.
And
I
Kasich
don't
was
think...
yours, right, Ravens?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you don't mind, I'll play him for just a brief moment.
Sure, yeah.
But he says, sir, you might want to know that a Cytherian probe has entered the system and is currently on an intercept course.
Okay. At what velocity?
It is descending into the atmosphere at Mach 3.
ETA?
5 minutes, sir.
Oh, shit. Okay, everyone, back on the ship.
I guess he's checking in, I guess, making sure we're keeping things safe, hopefully.
Back home, we would just yell, car!
Yeah.
Move the net and everybody get
Dinner! Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, let's go.
All right, so you all
Get in
grab
there.
your stuff. You all get back aboard of the Event Horizon, and not a moment too soon, because the moment you come onto the bridge, you see that sort of brownish capsule shape that's roughly the size of a shuttle. This brownish capsule comes down right in front of the Event Horizon and then begins emitting a white light. And you would think, oh, it's just a white light, but V looks very serious in this moment. She goes, Captain, you need to destroy that probe right now.
Why?
Because if you don't, it's going to burn out your computers and strand us here.
And
I'm going to do a
Good
quick.
enough
I'm
for
going to
me.
do a quick check of the computer systems and see if there's anything invasive going on.
Well, Peter, if you could give me an insight in engineering assisted by the ship's computers in engineering, difficulty of 4.
Ooh.
Or, well,
Okay.
And by my count, you have 4 momentum to play with.
I do. Would my computer's focus come into play? I would imagine
Most
so.
definitely.
I'm going to use a momentum to get a third die.
Okay.
Do we want to push it, or do we want to see what happens?
dealer's choice.
Okay.
I believe in you.
Well, now we're going to get Peter dice. Now that we
Right.
believe.
Okay, I mean,
When has Peter ever rolled poorly? Never.
Hey, I'm the one that's got a comp tonight, so Peter, you're completely safe.
not today, and that's
Right.
the concern.
Right, that's true.
I don't think I can quite work a value in here, so yeah, let's just see what happens.
Okay, there's 3, and then I need
Great.
a computers engineering from the ship. And again, remember the ship has an 18 to 20 complication range.
Nice.
Okay, 4 successes. So yes, actually, Gerald would immediately see the signs that, much like what happened to the Argus array during that episode of TNG, the Cytherian probe is trying to, for lack of a better term, convert your computer into something that will take it to the Cytherian homeworld.
Captain, she's not wrong.
Red alert, blow it up.
All right, Zephit, you finally get to fire ionic cannons.
Huzzah!
Yeah. So, this is actually a pretty easy roll, all things considered. This is a control and a security, assisted by weapons security of the ship. And the difficulty on this is a 2.
Copy. All right, I will give you a threat for a third die, and I do have a focus. And we'll just let her rip. Yup.
That is 4 successes, and then weapons security from the ship to maybe get you more.
Weapon security. Sorry, I should have been more on top of that.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh,
That's more standard.
Yeah. Okay. But hey, you still get 2 momentum out of it. So, Zephyt, you charge up the ionic cannons, and what I'd like to imagine is at the front of that arrowhead that is the quote-unquote saucer of the event horizon, these little turrets pop up out of the hull and lock on and fire, and they send out these lances of blue light, and the probe is destroyed. But as you destroy it, V kind of actually collapses into into the chair that you've given her, Commander Mason, and she says, "I was afraid of this. Commander, I don't know how to tell you this, but there is a faction on my homeworld that believes that my faction should be, I don't think the word is eradicated, but suffice to say they are very much against the de-isolationist policy that my faction has. In other words, they wish to remain isolated. And I believe that was one of their probes."
Do your people commit murder?
No, we... And she actually thinks, I cannot think of any time we have ever really had a crime on our world.
Well, what do you think happens if we get stranded on this planet?
Well, we would be stuck here, and I suppose we'd either have to fix it or we would perish. Which
Surely this other faction would be aware that your father would know that we're here, right? I mean, surely if we are gone for multiple weeks, he'd send a probe to investigate this section of space and find us. So they're taking a huge risk here.
Irregardless, V, you stay in that chair. Go on, get us off the ground.
Understood.
Take her home.
All right. And let me see. Is this a rule to? Yeah, there is another rule in second edition where taking off is another rule. It is again a control and a con. The ship is another structure con, and it's still a difficulty. No, it's reduced by 2. Difficulty of 0, so free momentum.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll just do a standard roll with a focus. All right.
All right. So we have 2, 3. Yeah, you're capped to momentum, and you can make a trait if you so wished for free.
Can we say while we're doing this, we're getting we're just warp core is still charged and ready, so we can just very quickly, as soon as we break orbit, hop back over to the planet, same quick speed as before.
Yeah.
Or do we want to? Right, we're out of reserve power, so it can't coaxial this.
We didn't get the reserve power back, so
Yeah.
And it's actually going to be important. But let me, I like that trait. Unless anybody has any other idea, let's call it the warp core charge trait.
Cool.
And then as you lift up off of the world and start to head out of the atmosphere, sensors detect that there are now 4 probes on an intercept course. And I think V says, Commander Mason, I don't know how to say this, but I think they want me dead. Which I should remind you is a momentous thing for a Cytherian. We have not had something like this in millennia.
I'm glad you're enjoying your vacation.
Well, I enjoyed the hockey, but not this.
I warned you it could be dangerous. Engineering, I want power. Get us out of here.
All right.
he's to Tanagra and he just keeps on going, trying to get things working.
All right. Let me just quickly remind myself how to get reserve power back. Here we are. It is a control engineering at a difficulty of 1, and every time you do this, the difficulty goes up by 1 every time you do it during one scene.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Let's say... because of electroplasma's power systems, I have to focus, I believe.
Yeah, EPS definitely counts as a focus here.
Yeah. So...
Nice.
Nice.
What is
All
wrong?
right.
I mean, what is right with my dice today?
All right. Well,
Maybe Dural is just like the character you were born to play.
yeah.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, that's 2 floating momentum. You want to make another trade?
Um, sure. Let's see. We already got the charging warp core. Hmm, something related to the engines, probably. Um, or could I say that I have enough power that I can redirect it to shields if necessary to rebound signal?
What I would tell you is, and we found this out in the TNG episode, shields don't do anything against a
That's right.
a Cytherian
The
probe,
Cytherian. That's true.
but you have ablative armor generators on this thing.
That's true.
Oh yeah.
And
I will-
I'll tell you what, I'll offer this for the 2 momentum floating. You can spend it to activate the ablative armor generator because it requires reserve power, if I recall correctly.
It does.
Yeah, it does. But you can get that for free, basically, using these 2 momentum.
I'm gonna do that.
Nice.
That seems good.
Okay. So as we see an external view of the Arrowhead ship that is the Event Horizon, we sort of see that ablative armor, just like in the very last episode of Voyager, just this ablative armor begins to sort of fold out and appear across the hull of the Event Horizon. And for the moment, you have 6 resistance and you have 5 additional shields as well. So overall, you're about the same as a Galaxy class, more or less.
Nice.
But you now have reserve power back. You can warp out of here. You can fight. You just tell me how you want to handle this. Because again, you've got 4 Cytherian probes coming in.
I have no intention of fighting if we don't have to.
Yeah, I would agree.
This is not our fight. It's not our war. But we are responsible to get V home safely.
Yeah, I agree. I think Event Horizon is super quick. Let's use that speed and all of our hypercharged warp coils to just dip on out of here as soon as we get out of atmosphere and we're safe to go. And let's see if we can just leave these probes in the dust.
And to make sure, since he's got a bunch of threat, I will direct that action.
Copy.
Okay. Are you sure you want to direct? Because you have 6 momentum right now. Because remember, direct's a once a scene. Unless they changed it. Did they change it in 2nd edition?
They did. It's a momentum cost, though.
Huh. Yeah, you're right. It is just a 1 momentum spend. Interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's a spend now, yeah.
Yeah, it's spend 1 momentum, select 1 ally, and then when they're attempting a major action, you assist them by rolling a control in command. Okay. They did change it, because it used to be presence command. Cool.
Yeah, just be presence. And you're right, it was just once per scene.
Cool. All right, well, in that case, Zephyr, very important role. This is going to be a... Well, let me ask, you normal warp or coaxial warp?
I think we still have to do normal. Do we get a reserve power back? I
You
thought
do, you have it right
We
now.
did, yeah.
Oh, we do have it back. So then, I mean, we can. I mean, might as well. I mean, if we're trying to leave these probes in the dust and not engage, I mean, the best way to do that is to show up on their doorstep and be like, "Hey, stop that."
All right, so it sounds like coaxial warp, yeah?
Yeah, as long as Commander Mason's doesn't have any issues with that.
I mean, I just said get us out of here. You could do that however you like.
Sweet. Yeah, we'll go axial then.
All right, so this is a control and a con at a difficulty of 3. And the ship will assist you with an engines con. Because I have threat.
Yep.
Complication
And
range
then-
17 to 20 for both you and the ship.
Copy.
Cool. And the direct is an assist as well, right?
Yes, you get to assist with a control and a command.
Control command.
What's the ship doing again? Because I had to reload the.
You're good.
screen.
Engines con for the ship.
And it's got,
And I will give you a threat for bold con. So
Okay.
if I do get a comp, I can reroll.
I will use the mission directive
Sweet.
to spend a determination.
Okay. So
Which
you
is
don't
the
even need
biggest
to roll.
reason why
You just get 2 free successes from you.
Oh, unless you want the complication range.
Well, that's the thing is because
Oh,
you're
it comes up as a
spending.
yeah.
Yeah, because you're spending the determination, your assist die automatically becomes a 1. So there's no point in rolling because we already know it's a 1 kind of a thing.
Perfect. Yeah.
But yeah, with 5 successes, 7 successes, including your assist, that is amazing because that is, by my reckoning, 4 floating momentum if I did the math on that correctly.
You'd be correct. Yeah.
So here's what happens. Zephyt, you punch in coaxial warp in atmosphere, which is why there was this complication. And it's almost like this vacuum effect when the event horizon literally folds in on itself and just whoops out of reality, where the probes and the swirling clouds are kind of like slammed into each other during this vacuum effect. But you spend maybe 15 seconds, if that, in the Tesseract space before you reemerge right above the Cytherian homeworld, right where you meant to go.
Yeah. Nice. And then we still have 4 float.
Yeah.
Uh,
But I'm going to let you keep that 4 floating as I tell you what happens next.
okay. Cool.
Because Castor appears on the bridge, again, big holographic old man head, and says, "Oh, you are back so soon. I was expecting you to be gone for several days."
Seems like some of your people are upset with V, perhaps yourself.
What do you mean?
We were attacked by a probe.
A probe, you say?
Well, V can explain it.
And V actually mirrors what Dural does and holds up 5 fingers. The isolationist faction sent probes after us, Father. And at this, Castor, the whole time Castor that you've known him, very upbeat, very jovial, very old man, like, oh, back in my day, I'd like saying certain things, like he's the kind of cool grandpa you hang out with.
Right.
But now he looks like very sad grandpa, very disappointed grandpa.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's like, oh. But he says, well then, I must apologize to you, Commander Mason, and to Starfleet and to my daughter. I did not realize that the isolationists would take such a stance against what was essentially just a field trip.
Well, I don't want to get involved in your internal politics, Castor. It's not really my place.
Indeed,
However,
I would agree. I apologize. You will still get the information you requested. I will give that to you. No issues. But I'm very sad that things have unfolded this way. Perhaps the Cytherians are not ready to speak with the Federation, to leave our boundaries. And at this, I'm dumping all my threat. Because V stands up, looks at you, Commander Mason, turns to the rest of the bridge, looks at her father, looks back to you, Commander Mason, and says, Commander Mason, I'd officially like to request asylum. And that's where we're going to end today's session because I'm an asshole.
I knew it.
Yeah. Interesting.
and we have to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What'd you all think? I love
we
that it
don't
turned
have-
into like slice of life there for a little bit, which is nice. You don't
Yeah,
always
it's-
get those
it's
nice
great.
little slice of life things. Yeah.
That was pretty fun.
No,
Love
I
it.
like the little bit of character growth, right?
Yeah.
Getting to see the characters, the different personalities. That's good.
Yeah.
Especially early in the series, right?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. We're gonna have to find ways.
Interesting.
We're gonna have to find ways to get that Tellarite out of medical. I've got that written down.
Yeah.
We got to get her out of medical more often.
Yeah.
It's so good.
All right. Well, YouTube, this is where we say goodbye, but Twitch stick around. But YouTube, we'll see you later. Bye bye, YouTube.
Bye, you two.